Welcome to Behind the Cusp, a podcast diving deep into the layers of self-growth, inner work, and transformation. I'm your host, Marissa Mead, and after 15 years as a digital creator, I'm sharing my raw, unfiltered journey of healing and self-discovery to walk alongside you in yours. Together, we'll dive deep into the conversations that matter most, uncovering what it means to truly evolve from the inside out. This is where you elevate into transformation. So take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Hello, you guys. We are officially back. I very unintentionally, took a podcast hiatus. To be honest, I just have so much on my plate right now, and I'm a one-woman show trying to juggle lots of things, and it was just like there were different things that I pretty much just had to drop the ball on purpose and just let them drop, I should say. Not on purpose, but let them drop, if you will. And there's also just so much that's in transition in my life right now. Without going into too much detail, I have had transitions within my management agency that manages all of my work and projects and things like that. And then my assistants, I had to and lost one. So just a lot of transition there with workload and who's handling what and finding somebody else and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I go back and forth between Connecticut and Florida, as most of you guys already know, and that in and of itself is just always a transition. And even when I'm based in Connecticut in the summer, I'm flying back and forth to Florida frequently to see my boyfriend. So I feel like I'm basically always in a transition every 2 weeks from going here and there and there and whatever. And just managing 2 homes and getting ready to sell one and move my life and all of that. So it's just a lot right now. And then just managing a normal daily life and work schedule. And I'm approaching the busy season, or I guess now fully in it, the busy season with, being a creator and all of that. So there's just a lot going on right now. And I know we all have a lot going on. So, just adding in another podcast, a podcast could be a literal full-time job. And obviously I knew when I started this that it was going to be something that would take a lot of time and effort and creative and just, everything. And then, but I'm doing it myself too. I don't have anyone working with me on it, or I don't have an assistant or a management kind of podcast agency or whatever that does everything. I'm doing all the editing, I'm doing all the cutting, all the writing, just you name it. So all that to say, there's just been so much on my plate. And also my chair is squeaking. I don't know if you guys can hear that, if it's picking up in the mic, but that's going to drive me nuts. So I hope it doesn't pick up. So yeah, everything's just been really chaotic right now. I feel like I came off a year with everything with my back, which I went into detail on in one of the first couple episodes, but I had a very kind of slow year in the sense of I wasn't committed to anything. I didn't have anything going on, whatever. And then this past year since has just been so transformational for me as a person, both mentally, physically, emotionally, career-wise, the direction that I'm heading in. There's so much new on the horizon and new opportunities and things that are shifting even within my career, and some cool things that I'm working on and getting into and all of that. So it's just been a really big year, and the whole point of this podcast is to talk about transformation. And I'm sharing a lot of my personal transformation because I feel that is a huge part of me being able to even share about transformation, and in the hope that it speaks to you as you're going through your own transformation or walking through different things in whatever aspect of life you are in. So that being said, I am really excited to get back into, I should say, not even excited. I am excited, but I'm more expectant and just eager. That's a better word. Eager to get back into the podcast because this is truly where my heart is. I just feel the range of impact here can be so large, and I truly just love this whole journey and what it's brought and just everything. So I'm excited to and eager to get back into recording. I actually have been recording. I just haven't been publishing. So I've been recording with different guests, and I'm going to start dropping those guest episodes soon. Also, if you have anyone that you'd love to hear on here and just hear about like their journey of transformation or self-growth or whatever, please let me know. I would love to have all different types of people on here. I don't want to just have experts or people that have letters after their name on this podcast. This podcast is meant to be relatable in every way for the everyday woman. And so while those things and people that are of quote unquote importance, or like a founder of a company or some type of doctor or medical person or professional of some kind, all of that's amazing, but you're not only going to hear from those types of people on this podcast when it comes to guests, because I really feel that there's so many stories out there that can be shared and can be told and can be impacted, other people can be impacted by. I have a running list of so many different people for the podcast. I'm really excited to start sharing with you guys this lineup of guests. I feel like they're just incredible. And I also like that you may not even know who some of these people are, but maybe you'll be exposed to them, what they do, and what they've gone through in their life. And it's going to be amazing. So that being said, let's dive into this week's episode. I'm really thrilled to be sharing about this. I had no idea the type of response this would have on my socials. So if you follow me over on Style Cusp, you've heard me chatting a little bit about my morning opener in the last, I don't know, month, maybe two, and what that is and kind of like why I crafted it. And so I wanted to deep dive into my morning opener on this week's episode because so many of you asked about this. You're like, what does that entail? What does it mean? Whatever. And I really wanted to dive into what my intention is behind the whole thing and what I wanted to create for myself in the mornings. A little bit of backstory here. When I am in Naples, my life is, I don't know how to say this other than just, it's so much easier. I think it's because I'm in alignment, so everything flows. When I came home to Connecticut this summer, I had a really rough time and rude awakening, if you will. It was like I was met with so much resistance in every single area of my life. And this is how I know it's time to move on from this place. It's just not aligned with me anymore. And there's nothing that's really making me be like changing that, you know, because I think even the emotional side of it and being tied to my family or my house or whatever here, immediately I'm like, but it's not right for me. It's not aligned for me anymore. It doesn't feel right. I don't feel like myself here when I go back to that. And I'm like, and this is how I know it's time for me to move on. But that being said, I came home and I was really struggling this summer with getting into any type of rhythm of any kind. And I would have spurts or a couple days and then it would just fall off, or I would really struggle. And transparently in the mornings, I'd wake up and literally scroll on my phone for an hour in bed. And that's like not like me. You guys know I like getting up and moving and get my movement in and sunlight and all these things in the morning. So for me to lay in bed until, I'll just be totally honest, like 8:30, 9:30, some days scrolling on my phone and basically wasting time, like I'm not doing anything important, is not like me. And I was starting to get really disgusted with myself, quite honestly. So I realized I really needed to create something here that felt good, because I was waking up and feeling like I didn't have a driving purpose almost. And let me also just say that I feel like it's really easy to be caught up in having this morning routine and thing that you do every day that's so perfect with a checklist, and you're bulleted out of everything, the ideal, wellness girl start to the day, or the checklist of all the things, or, you see these like really extravagant get ready with me's and morning routines and whatever online. And I would feel like this was putting pressure on me where I couldn't accomplish all of those things in the morning because that's just not who I am. And so I was feeling kind of like a failure. And I think that's a little bit of my perfectionism coming in, and that's my own whole journey that I have been healing and working on for years now. But it was almost like I was chasing or thinking I had to chase this perfect or ideal morning routine with all of these things, and being or seeing so much productivity in the mornings on other people's parts that it was making me feel like I had to do that. And I don't know, like I said, in Naples, for me, it's really easy to wake up and get my day going. Here, it's really hard. Again, I think it's just the misalignment, and that's coming to an end soon, thankfully. But it's like, the fact of the matter is, it's still 6-7 months, whatever, of my life, and I can't just be a blob for 6 months. Like, I run multiple businesses. I own a home. Like, I have responsibilities. I have, like all of these things. I can't just sit around and do nothing. So I think that for me, what I came down to is I'm not a huge morning person. I never have been. I'm not the person who can just have their alarm go off, hit the button, roll over, hop out of bed, and boom, get their day going. I honestly have always envied those types of people, but that's not me. And so I had to craft a morning opener. I didn't want to call it a routine, and I'll go more into that in a little bit of why, but I had to craft something that made me excited to wake up in the morning, but also kind of gave me a goal, if you will, or like something that I felt like I was accomplishing in the morning or feeling, and could still feel productive without feeling like I was running around, I don't even know, like some lady on a rampage doing 100 things. It just didn't feel right for me. All of this is in part of my own healing and transformation journey that I've been on. And let me also, side note, your transformation in your own life is something that's always happening. You're always changing. You're always growing, or you should be. You're always healing from something. Maybe there's a new layer. Maybe there's like a new situation that's going on, whatever. This is something that's always going on. So when I refer to that, this is another layer of things that like I'm recognizing in myself this summer, this lack of motivation or whatever in the mornings, and why, and getting to the root of that. And so what I realized was my morning can look or feel however I want it to. And what I learned was how I feel matters more than what I'm doing. And I don't need to have my morning look like everyone else is out there. When you think about that, it's just a very small group of people, but maybe it's just who's in my sphere or on my FYP, But my morning doesn't have to look like everyone else's. And newsflash, it's not going to. And newsflash, yours isn't going to. Everyone's life is so different. Some people are waking up and running off to work in the morning. Maybe you have a really long commute. Maybe you have 3 little kids and you are juggling and just trying to survive in the morning. Maybe you have older kids that are heading out the door for drop off or the bus stop or whatever. And maybe you're just like packing some lunches and whatever. Everyone's morning looks so different. And here's the thing. Your morning can't look like the next person's. And so even this morning opener that I've crafted, I'm not sharing it thinking, oh, all of you need to go and create that for yourself. It's more of an inspiration for you to say, how do I want to feel in the morning? What can I do to support that for me or even for my family? Ask yourself that if you have a family. How do I want my family to feel in the morning? What can we do to support that? Do you want to have a chaotic morning running around, pulling your hair out, this and that? Or do you want to have a morning where it sets the tone for your day? For me, I was like, I'm setting the tone for my day right now by scrolling on my phone for an hour. This is not how I want to set my tone for my day. This is not who I am. Marissa, snap out of it. So let's all take a deep breath. Your morning can look however you want it to. And know that you can feel good in your morning without having some grand routine that looks flashy and fun and organized and accomplishing on the outside. Ultimately, here's where I landed. Instead of calling it a morning routine, because this felt really rigid for me and kind of off-putting, it also felt like a routine felt to me like I had to stick to exactly the same thing every day. And if it wasn't that, then I was failing. Instead, I landed on the idea of a morning opener. And my opener is defined by a gentle, intuitive way to start the day. Rather than jumping into hustle mode or jumping into checking off all the things on this routine list, it's the way that I want to open my day. And not about what I want to do, not about what I want to accomplish, but how I want to feel. And so the first step of creating this morning opener, I identified how I want to feel in the morning. And I was like, how do I want to feel every morning? Instead of running and being like, I'm creating a routine and I'm going to do this, 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 and this. No, I went from the opposite end of it. And I said, how do I want to feel in the morning? When I wake up and I'm getting my day started, what do I want to feel like? And from there, I crafted a way to open my day that really reflected how I wanted to feel. I wanted to feel balanced. I want to feel nourished. I want to feel like my mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual body and health are all supported. And that's where I started in creating my morning opener. So ultimately, it's not about productivity. It's not about pressure. It's not about how much can you do in the first hour of your day. It's about presence. It's about bringing moments of presence into your morning to open it slowly, intentionally, and grounded in the kind of energy that you want to carry with you throughout the whole day. It's less about doing everything right. It's more about doing what feels aligned, what feels right, what feels like I'm supporting myself. I want to feel calm. I want to have clarity. I want to have presence in my mornings. And then I can carry all that with me through my day. And that only starts by starting my morning that way. The best thing too is that because it's not this checklist of things that I'm trying to accomplish, it's more about how I want to feel, that my opener changes slightly with maybe the day of the week or with the seasons that are changing, especially here in Connecticut, with my cycle. Hello, if you're not syncing with your cycle, you need to be syncing with your cycle. We can do a total separate episode on that, but cycle syncing is huge. And I feel like so many women are not even aware of their cycle. And that's a huge factor in going against the tide, if you will, like pushing in a way you shouldn't for your body. But anyway, whole other side tangent. But my opener will change even with my emotional needs, what I need or even don't need that day. Also, on the flip side of that, sometimes, especially in this season for me, like October, November, and even part of December is very busy with work. It's my peak holiday season. I have so many deadlines with brands. There's so much on my plate with filming and sharing and recording and prepping, and the back end of things is very involved. It's just a lot right now. And I know this time of year is always fighting the urge for me, just historically, to not just get up and start my day on my computer, on my phone, getting right into emails or messages or anything like that. I have to be really intentional with drawing those boundaries for myself. For me, I am more productive for the whole day as a whole if I'm not on my phone first thing. And when I was in Naples this first half of the year, I was really intentional with that and wasn't on my phone for the first 2 hours of the day. And that was so beneficial for my mental health, for my mental clarity, even like for your circadian rhythm, you guys. Like waking up and staring at your phone first thing in the morning is so bad for your eyes, your brain, all the things. So take at least an hour or whatever in the morning and don't hop on those devices and phones and all of that. Let's chat about what's in my morning opener. I'll share with you guys what I have crafted and what I'm doing right now. And again, I'm going back to how I wanted to support myself in every single way. So there were elements that I incorporated that were supporting me physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And all this came back to how I want to feel. So the first thing that I do every morning right now is I get up, I wake up with my Hatch alarm. It has an amazing whole routine that you can incorporate in. And so my alarm goes off at 7:30. I wake up, I get up and I open the blinds immediately so that I have bright sunlight in my eyes. This also helps you fight the urge to just roll over and go back to sleep, or roll over and scroll on your phone or whatever. If you even want to walk outside in your backyard or on your front porch for even a minute, this will help just to wake you up and help regulate your circadian rhythm. You want sunlight in your eyes first thing in the morning. Don't lay in bed and scroll on your phone in a darkened room. That's like the worst thing you can do. The second thing I do is I head right downstairs and I make a glass of either greens, Armra, or I've started to do lemon water actually just this week because it's starting to get really cold here and I don't want like an ice cold drink. I want something that's warmer. But either way, I'm nourishing my body right away and waking up my system. I'm also usually drinking water from the moment I wake up. So I go to bed with a huge Stanley. I go to bed with my huge Stanley on my nightstand. I usually am waking up at least, I don't know, once or twice in the middle of the night to have some water. And from the moment I wake up, I am drinking water. So I will drink water right when I wake up. I'm probably chugging at least, I would say, 8 ounces within the first 10, 15 minutes of being awake. So then I'll do the greens, Armra, or lemon water. Then I bring that with me upstairs and I get back in bed, but I'm not laying in bed. And remember, my room is bright because my windows are now open. So I am sitting up in bed. Here's where I put on my red light mask. And my red light mask, I think if you have the current body one, I want to say the cycle is maybe 12 minutes or 10 minutes, something like that, around there. And I pop on a meditation from Insight Timer app. So this is where I get on my phone in the morning, but just to access that app. I'm not like getting on my phone and checking things and then doing the app. I'm like, nope, I'm going in for the meditation app. And I usually do a 5, maybe 6, 7 minute meditation. I just find one that's pretty general. Intention setting for the day or positive thoughts to start your day. Something like that. Like I just pick one and I like go with it. And while the meditation is playing, I have the red light mask on and I'm drinking my greens or whatever I have in my cup. After my red light is done and the meditation is off, I take out my journal and I'll write down things in my journal. Now, I had a lot of questions about the journal part. I'm going to answer that in a second because I'm going to do like a Q&A with the questions that you guys sent in. But for me, what my journal time looks like is different every day. And this is where I really am just intuitive and listen to my body and or not even my body. I listen to my emotional state, or I tap into my emotional state and I kind of feel out what I need to do. Some days I write 8 pages. Other days might just be 2 sentences, or maybe it's the intention or the affirmation that I said or set in the meditation. It looks different every day. And I just pulse check, sometimes it's 5 minutes and then other times it's 25 minutes. It just depends. After I journal, I get up and I get myself ready for the day for some type of movement, whether I'm going out for a walk or heading to the gym or going to a class or whatever. I am doing movement in the morning. I used to be somebody who liked to do my movement in the afternoon because after I would be sitting all day for work, I wanted to move, which I still do, but I realized that for me, moving my body in the morning really gets me going and makes me feel I'm going to have a great day. Like it just is. And then after my movement, I will come home and I always nourish my body with a really good, well-rounded breakfast. I'm eating a lot of protein. I'm eating berries. I'm eating a very well-rounded breakfast that fuels me. I'm not just shoving down empty carbs or a sugary breakfast or something that's going to slow me down. You want your body and your brain to be fed well so you have fuel for the day. Breakfast is so important, especially for women. We don't realize how important it is, and so many women skip breakfast or eat some tiny little thing, and truthfully, that's not good for any of us or our hormones or anything. Like, get protein, get something in your body in the beginning of the day. Don't just survive on coffee that you drink 4 times or reheat. It's not good. So that's pretty much my opener. That's what I do every day. That's how I support myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all well-rounded ways. And this is not something that is very complicated, you guys. Like, I literally just open the blinds. I get something that nourishes me with the greens, Armra, whatever. I do a red light and a meditation at the same time, and I'm writing in my journal. This is not like I'm doing 5 loads of laundry and vacuuming and running up and down the stairs 87 times. And, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm just trying to get myself going and setting the tone for the day. So you guys sent in a bunch of questions on my stories earlier this week, and I pulled out some of the ones that I felt like were the most relevant. So I'm going to talk through those really quick and give you guys some answers to those questions. So the first one, if you have somewhere to go in the early morning, do you still do this? Do you wake up earlier? Okay, to be honest, I think this answer is going to be a little bit different for me than everyone else. And like I said, everyone's morning is different. But I personally do not schedule things in the early morning. I recognize I have the flexibility of that because I work for myself and work from home. But I personally am not scheduling things at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or whatever, because I know this is my morning time. I want to go to the gym in the morning, whatever. So anything that I have in my day is usually scheduled after 10 a.m. If it's an appointment, if it's a call for work, anything. And I honestly try to do anything that's work related, like calls wise, during the hours of 12 to 4 p.m. And I don't try to do anything in the morning because even if I'm getting to my desk and working, I like to kind of have some time to get myself organized, check any emails, anything that's more urgent, I guess you could say. So the answer for me on this, I think, looks different than maybe for other people, but say you are somebody that has to be at work by 8 a.m. and you have to leave your house at 7:30. Well, if you want to have a 15-minute kind of morning opener to open your morning, then you need to calculate that in when you're setting your alarm or when you're getting up and leaving the house or whatever. Also, same thing, like if you have kids, like I have some friends that are just really committed to nourishing themselves before their kids are up and ready to go for the day. And usually that's pretty early. So they are just intentional about that time in the morning, even if it's 15 minutes, you guys. All of this does not have to be like a 2-hour ordeal. Everything that I do in that morning opener before I head out for the gym is usually 15 minutes. This isn't something that I'm laying around and leisurely having this 2-hour morning, because I can't do that. I have way too many things going on and to accomplish during the day. This is literally a 15-minute block where I'm up and then I'm getting the day going. So I know that may not necessarily help, but if in the instance, I guess, if I had to get up somewhere early in the morning, then yes, I would wake up and have some type of morning opener. If I'm waking up in the morning, I'm not going to go have my movement in the morning, but I would still do at least probably 10 or 15 minutes of something that's nourishing me before I get my day going. Okay, second question. What motivates me to get out of bed on the days that I feel droopy? To be honest, I don't really feel that way in the morning anymore. And I do remember those days and those times. And that was when I was not nourishing my body well, when I was not moving my body well. You feel like you have no energy, no motivation, whatever. If that's the case, if you're waking up like that, I would honestly probably get a full blood work, mineral testing panels, whatever done, because you're probably deficient in things, or your circadian rhythm is off, your cortisol is off, your hormones are off. That's not normal. You shouldn't be waking up feeling that way every single day. That may not be the answer you want to hear there, but I've been there, but I've done a lot of work physically, health-wise, everything to kind of get out of that. Another factor here with that is I started peptide therapy in the last month, and that, you guys, has been massive game changer for me for energy levels, mental clarity, like getting rid of brain fog and all of that, because peptides are huge in supporting our body's systems. And I also take creatine, which is really, really good for women. That's another thing. I could do probably like a whole episode on creatine and how beneficial it is for women. But since I started taking creatine and aminos combo daily, plus doing the peptides, the creatine and aminos made a huge difference. And I felt like the peptides took it to another level for me in the last couple of months. Like, holy cow. So all of those things are probably worth looking into. Number 3, what time do I get up? My alarm goes off at 7:30. When I'm in Florida, if I'm doing like a Pilates class and I do the morning class like 8 or 9 a.m., then I'm usually waking up at like 6:30. But On a standard day, my alarm goes off at 7:30. Some days I wake up before my alarm, but I'm usually needing at least 9 hours of sleep. So if I'm waking up at 7:30, like I'm usually going to bed around like 10:30ish. Someone else asked, what types of things do I write down for the journal time? Is it fluid thoughts or constructed thoughts? So I just write down whatever's coming out, whatever comes out, feelings, emotions. I don't hold back on anything. Sometimes I write down things and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I wrote that down. I don't judge my own thoughts or feelings that are coming out. I just allow myself to write them out. It's kind of like a form of therapy for me, I guess. I've always been a huge writer. I've always been a huge journaler. I have journals going back to when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old that I have kept, and I have. So, and I'm not kidding, like I have literal books that have a little locket and key on them that I wrote when I was little, and I was writing pages. This is something I think that's always come very naturally for me to journal and share and document and all of that. And we will see where that takes me in the next couple of years. Stay tuned. Anyways, so how long does it take? I'm assuming they mean the whole morning kind of opener. I feel like I just answered this a couple minutes ago actually, but 15 minutes if I'm journaling more that day, maybe 30 minutes. And then like I go have my workout, I drive to the gym, say that's 15 minutes, have a workout for about an hour. I would say I'm usually at the gym for like an hour, max an hour and a half, and then I'm home. Okay, the last couple of questions, these didn't really relate to the morning opener, but they kind of do, so I wanted to touch on them, but I feel like I could do maybe a info episode about all of these things coming soon. Maybe if you guys are interested in this, let me know. Someone asked, how do I get out of a rut of not moving my body, working out, and how do I stay consistent? So the key here, I think, is getting into your mindset that working out is not something that you're just going to do for a month to, quote, get in shape. We need to realize that movement should be part of our lifestyle. We live sedentary lives now in this modern world, but even 100 years ago, people were not sedentary. They were walking everywhere. They were working outside on their properties, their farms, their homes, in the garden, in the chicken coop, like in the fields, whatever. We live a way more sedentary life than our ancestors, even my grandparents' generation, And so movement should be part of our lifestyle. This isn't something that should be last on our list. It should be something we prioritize. If you have a family, I have several friends who have started incorporating movement into their family time. Their kids are doing movement with them, even if it's walking, or their kids are in the garage gym with them, even little kids doing this. I look at that and I'm like, wow, you know what? They're instilling such incredible mindsets into their children from a young age and raising them to have movement as something that's normal. And I don't know where in our society's timeline that we flipped, working out is, something we do in spurts or whatever. Maybe that was like the 80s with all the workout tapes and exercise, jazzercise stuff. I don't know. That's not really my field. I think that when you shift into this is just part of my lifestyle, then it becomes something that's really easy to do. And also recognize that when I say movement, I don't mean that you need to be doing a workout and walking for 3 hours a day. I mean, you could literally walk the loop around your neighborhood or down the block or whatever, 20 minutes, and then you're back in the house, And that's where when you make something part of your lifestyle, it's really easy to stay consistent because you're not looking at it as like a task or a chore that you have to do right now to reach this ideal level or body or image or whatever. When you look at movement as something that you're doing to nourish your body and it benefits you not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, all of these ways, then it becomes easier to do. I say this because this is really the shift that I've had in the last year. I feel like I always looked at working out before as, I need to do this to get in shape. And now I'm doing this because I had to strengthen my body post-surgery, and I still am working on a lot of that. So for me, it was a non-negotiable because I don't want to become immobile again. But 2, It just was, this became part of my lifestyle. This is what I do. I move my body every day, and every day that looks different. But once you also start doing that, you get addicted to the feeling of feeling good. Do you know what I mean? So it's easy to stay consistent because you're like, I don't want to go back to feeling like crap or feeling like I did before. And it's almost like this intangible thing you can't even explain or put into words, but you just know because you're like, I don't want to go back to feeling like that. I want to feel like this, So anyway, I could definitely deep dive into that hardcore. So maybe that's another whole episode too. I need to write a list here. Okay, supplements and skincare is another question that people had. I'm not going to dive into that in this episode, but I understand why they're asking because that is typically things that you're doing in the morning, like washing your face and taking care of whatever. So I'm making a mental note, mentioning it here. I will definitely share more about this, even if it's over on my personal Instagram page soon, or maybe do a highlighted episode about supplements or something that I take. If that's of interest to you, please let me know. I would love to deep dive into that. Okay, so now that we've pretty much established what my morning opener is and why I have a morning opener, it has definitely helped me, changed me, supported me in the last, month or two since I've incorporated this in. And let me also say that I have not been perfect with this. I have not just done the morning opener every single day since I intended to do this. There's some days where it's more of a struggle than others, and I have to kind of be like, nope, Marissa, snap out of it. Here we go. Or there's been some days where I have fallen back into that scrolling whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel horrible. My brain fog, I feel like my head is clouded as soon as I get out of bed, whatever. But I think that's a good thing because I'm able to almost see the growth that happens when I have an intentional start to my day. I feel the calmness. I feel the clarity all the way through the day. I'm responding more, reacting less. I'm a better person. I'm a better girlfriend. I'm a better boss. You know what I mean? I am better when I'm more intentional with this because I'm filling my own cup and I'm moving in alignment with the things that I need and not from this place of urgency or running around feeling like things need to just get accomplished and knocked out to look like I'm productive in the morning. You know what I mean? So ultimately, this is how you build a life that feels good from the inside out. And when you are doing more or trying to perfect something or chasing someone else's version of success or accomplishment or whatever, it's never going to feel good for you. It has to resonate with you. And this is why I asked myself from the start, what do I need to feel good? And so I'm inviting you today to do the same. Ask yourself, what do you need in the morning to feel good? And by returning to yourself again and again and again in the quiet and often overlooked moments, there's that 5 minutes in the morning or that 10 minutes window or the 15 minutes before, you quote, have to get up. Start your day with intention. Not with pressure. Start your day with presence, not with productivity. Anchor into your own energy before you have a million things pulling at you. The world is pulling at you. Your husband's pulling at you. Your boyfriend's pulling at you. Your kids are pulling at you. Your work email's pulling at you. Whatever it is. Before the world has a chance to pull you in 100 different directions, take the small, sacred pauses that begin to shape everything. Your day is shaped by those little moments. And when we can shift our mindset to that, we realize that the power really lies within us. It's in the way that we speak to ourselves. It's in the way that we move through our day. We choose what we align with, and then we let go of what doesn't. A life that feels good, that resonates deeply, that feels aligned, is not built by force. It's not built by doing. It's not built by checking off boxes. It's built by soft daily decisions. The ones that honor who we are, that honor our nervous system, our desires, our peace, our passion, our vision. And all of this starts the moment we wake up every day. It's a fresh day to have everything new. And we can choose to meet ourselves in the morning before all the noise. Whether that's 5 minutes, 25 minutes, or 55 minutes. It can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to close this morning opener episode with a little invitation for you. If your mornings have felt rushed, if your mornings have felt disconnected, or if you feel like you're being pulled into your day before you've even had a moment to think a thought, never mind a moment even for yourself. Okay, this is your reminder. You do not need a perfect routine. You do not need an hour-long checklist. You just need a few moments that feel like you. Your morning opener doesn't have to look like mine. Maybe it's just taking one deep breath before your feet hit the floor, before you roll over. Maybe it's sitting in silence with your tea or your coffee or your matcha or your lemon water or your Armra or whatever it is. Maybe it's walking around the block or down your driveway and back and taking a few deep breaths outside. Maybe it's scribbling a few words in your journal. What matters the most, the bottom line here, what I'm really getting at is that you begin your day with you. Take 5 minutes. What matters most is that you begin the day with you. Not with your inbox, not with your notifications, not with your daily to-do list, not with the house chore list. Let it be simple. Let it be soulful, deeply resonating with you. Let your morning be the moments that you remind yourself, I set the tone. Because when you start your day from a place of intention, the rest of the day is going to meet you there. So thank you for starting this morning, or maybe later on in your day. Thank you for making me part of your morning, your day today. I hope this episode really helps you open your day with more presence, with more soulful intention, with more ease, and more of yourself. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Behind the Cusp. If you love this episode, I'd so appreciate it if you'd rate, review, or share it with someone else who's also on their path of self-growth. These all go such a long way in supporting the show. Be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me over on Instagram @StyleCusp and follow the show Behind the Cusp. And as always, keep tuning inward. True transformation begins from the inside out.